Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we're just jumping right into Road to Ranked. In that last episode, we used this really fun Gigantamax Blastoise team with Shell Smash and Life Orb, so we'll be playing a couple of more games with it today. To get things started, we're going up against very strong Hyper Offense here, and this is really scary to be honest because it doesn't feel great for Blastoise. Umbreon I think will actually be really critical here. Wondering if it's physical Regieleki though. That'd be really scary. Like I want to play passively with Umbreon Indeedee. This is kind of like what game 2 from yesterday, and then go with Thundurus and Zacian in the back. But I don't really like this matchup on paper. I'm also sad because we don't get to bring up Blastoise in this one. But I just don't think I can, assuming it's like because of Aleki and the Calyrex Shadow Rider. Indeedee is also valuable here just to stop any like terrain shenanigans. Sorry, prankster shenanigans from Whimsicott. I just wonder if I lead Thundurus instead of Umbreon because this is really passive. But Umbreon actually does decent damage into the majority of my opponent's Pokemon. Like Foul Play into Landorus, Thundurus, and Calyrex is very good here. So we'll see. Like I think I like my opponent's matchup better than ours here in the sense that they just outpace us because they have Whimsicott and our team is like relatively fast to begin with. So getting outsped is not exactly ideal. So I expect Whimsicott, I expect Calyrex, and then what do you bring in the back? What's interesting is that, like, you know, Urshifu might not come out here because it doesn't do super well into most of our Pokemon, but of course it would have a good matchup into Umbreon. So if Urshifu doesn't come out, that'd be favorable for us. Either way, thanks so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoy, please share your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Go check out the team. There's a rental and a paste down in the description below, and let's get started. Alright, it is Thundurus Calyrex. You know, Umbreon's very good here, so I'm happy about that. Very happy about Umbreon. I really want to just yawn Thundurus. If we manage to get the yawn onto Thundurus, then we can Dynamax our Thundurus and be in really good shape. So like the play I'm leaning towards making here is just yawn onto Thundurus turn 1 and protect Indeedee turn 1. That seems okay to me. And if they max Thundurus and we actually get a yawn off against it, we're in really good shape. That being said, I think a lot of players here won't max Thundurus specifically because they expect yawn to come out. So you could just go for something like a Wild Charge. But this relatively passive lead I think actually ends up working out okay for us, which is good. Like Umbreon needs to be the MVP in this matchup. The good thing is it is very good into both of these. Now, of course, I could have just gone for like, I don't know, Foul Play. Helping Hand Foul Play would be really interesting. Don't want to Snarl because we definitely don't want to activate a Defiant onto Thundurus until at least it's asleep. So best case scenario here is Thundurus maxes, like Calyrex protects. Okay, Calyrex switches, that's also fine with me. If Thundurus maxes here, that'd be a really good sign. Oh, double switch. Like that play a lot on their end. Like that play a lot. The good thing is we still end up getting a yawn into Landorus, but I think there's a decent chance this Landorus is actually going to have Lumberry. And that's scary. I've got Zacian in the back. I've got my own Thundurus. Here I want to Expanding Force with Indeedee. I think I'm just going to Foul Play Expanding Force this turn. Let's think this through. Is there anything I can do with Yawn with Umbreon? I could, but I'm not sure I really want to right now. Great double switch by my opponent. Like, if I just went Expanding Force Foul Play turn 1, that would have been so sick. They switch out, which makes me think they're not Lumberied. Okay. Calyrex comes back out. I was wondering if they're going to max Aleki here. There's that slight pause. That would be a really interesting play. They do go for it. The reason why that's really smart is because you also set up the electric terrain this way, which means my yawns are negated. Maybe I played too passively on turn 1. I could have just Expanding Forced, and I feel like I had the better lead matchup, so Expanding Force would have punished my opponent super heavily. It's gonna bet Lightning into Indeedee. So I mean, the upside is like, yeah, you bring us down to our Sash, but then the problem is that now Calyrex can snowball this game really quickly, right? Maybe force to follow me Snarl next turn. Okay, interesting. They're not Life Orb on the Regieleki, so it's probably Magnet if I had to guess. That was a crit, which was pretty lucky for us. I think I'm just going to go Snarl, follow me here. I just, like, it very well could be Physical Alecki right now, and I don't know that. And if it is, then I just, like, don't have a clear path to victory here. We know they have Landorus in the back, so if Landorus comes in, they would have to activate our Defiant. Maxing Alecki is really smart in this matchup because it's the best way to neutralize my Umbreon. So, good job on my opponent to not max Thundurus on turn 1. That was really smart. You can see why Blastoise is not good in this matchup though, right? So, I'll go for Follow Me. Calyrex shouldn't do that much into Umbreon. They're just going to go for another Max Lightning. So, the upside is that we do have our late game Dynamax to play with, right? And late game Thundurus can be very, very good for us here. Okay, they just Astral Barrage. Yeah, that's fine. Shouldn't do that much into Umbreon. Yeah, Umbreon's just the MVP here for sure. Man, I'm honestly contemplating, like, what if I max Umbreon? My only problem here is not knowing the item on this Alecki. I don't think I can risk for it to be Physical Alecki, bring out Thundurus, and just lose Thundurus. So I think I have to bring out Zacian and Protect, unfortunately. As much as that stinks. Okay. The problem, though, is if I just protect Zacian, my opponent could very likely double up onto Umbreon. And then you can just go for an electric type attack onto Zacian. So, like, I feel forced to attack with both Pokemon here. Foul play into Calyrex. And just Blade into Alecki. Because I think if I protect Zacian here and Umbreon gets doubled up into, I lose. And they actually switch out. That's really good regardless. Okay. Expecting Snarl. Yeah, that's exactly why I didn't want to Snarl this turn. This probably means I'm getting dunked on Zacian, though. Oh, they do target Umbreon. Okay, that is the best possible outcome. And we survive. Brilliant. Okay. Umbreon is so clutch for us in this game. I think that actually should allow us to win this game if I play this endgame properly. Nice. Okay. You have to be really careful about snarling with Umbreon when your opponent has Defiant Thundurus as a possibility. So that's why I wanted to make sure I didn't snarl until I was, like, you know, I try to bait my opponent in a position. Although they actually had a very good opportunity to switch out Calyrex last turn into Thundurus. That would have been a really good play for them. But now we just got rid of their Regieleki, which is really valuable. Calyrex comes back out, but shouldn't be that scary. I still need to play this endgame properly, though, but I think we're in a favorable position. They're going to bring out Landorus first. That makes sense. Gets rid of the Intimidate. Or sorry, it gets rid of the attack boost on the Zacian. But I think, quite frankly, we just protect Zacian here, sacrifice the Umbreon, and get a free switch in. So I'll Foul Play into Landorus. That covers for a Swords Dance play and protect with the Zacian. Because as soon as we get Thundurus in for free, we can just max Airstream and max Knuckle and give each other boosts. They actually launched Superpower into Zacian instead of Wild Charge. That's interesting. And just Earthquake. Not sure this will actually KO. And I'm kind of surprised to see Superpower there, but instead of Wild Charge. Okay, Umbreon faints, but honestly, I'm happy for it to faint here. Like, it's done everything I needed to do in this game. And yeah, I was wondering, I don't think you KO without that Life Orb there. So now I bring in Thundurus. I can go for max Airstream onto the Landorus slot. I think it's always just max Airstream and Behemoth Blade into Landorus. Yeah. Even if the Landorus protects, I get a speed boost, which ensures I'll outspeed with Thundurus the next turn against both of these Pokemon, right? If Lando doesn't protect here, the game's over. We just instantly win. Especially because we have Foul Play, which turns into Max Darkness on this Thundurus. So, in order for my opponent to stand a shot here, I think they either need to crit a attack into Zacian. Although I don't even think a crit attack from regular Thundurus KOs Zacian. So, you know, this was the game plan. Mitigate my opponent's Dynamax in the early game, and then use the our Dynamax in the late game. So, our lead was really good. My opponent's ability to pivot in that Alecki to set up terrain was really good as well. What was a really big deal here was getting that Foul Play for free into that Thundurus switch in. That was nice. So, yeah. If you're up against Pokemon like Calyrex and Regieleki, it's typically just bad news for Blastoise. So as much as I wanted to bring it out here, it just did not make very much sense. Okay, they do correctly protect with Landorus, so nice play on their end there. But that's still okay, because I just, like, Really don't think Thundurus applies that much pressure right now. And because we know it's Life Orb, I'd rather just divert my attention onto it. Because at this point, I think Thundurus cleanly beats both my opponent's Thundurus and my opponent's Calyrex, right? I have Foul Play to just knock out both of those. So Thundurus isn't even that big of a threat right now. If you Wild Charge, you actually take a lot of recoil damage as well. 2 Wild Charges might just be enough for it to faint, but... Huh. That's interesting. Electro Web. Wow. So that just activated Defiant, but I actually can understand the logic there. However, I think we have a guaranteed win here. Let's see, we're at neutral. I mean, Behemoth Blade should actually just KO Thundurus, right? My only fear is that Thundurus actually somehow survives that. Because what I think the correct play here is to Airstream into the Landorus, protect with Zacian. That way, even if you Electro Web again, we outspeed with we outspeed against Calyrex. Yeah, I think we actually should protect here. You just activated Defiance, so we'll definitely KO the Landorus. Even if my opponent goes Electro Web Rock Slide, you shouldn't KO Thundurus. You'd have to win a speed tie, potential speed tie there as well. And they might not be max speed, because... Okay, they are max speed, though. Yeah, so I think my opponent's play here is to Electro Web and Earthquake to snipe off Zacian, which is why we always need to protect there. If you Rock Slide here, even if you crit, we should survive the turn, and more importantly, Zacian will be at +1 speed after this turn. Yeah, so they try to get the Earthquake off, but it doesn't work out. Quite frankly... I think my opponent should have just gone for Electro Web Earthquake last turn. And just bank it off a speed tie. Because as soon as I know you have Electro Web, I'm always protecting Zacian this turn. So, that same play could have just worked out last turn. That being said, I'm not sure it would win my opponent the game anyway, because then I would just one-shot the Landorus, assuming you win the speed tie. Or sorry, assuming, yeah, actually, I mean, if I win the speed tie, the Landorus just faints out, right? If I lose the speed tie, you KO the Zacian, I'm back at neutral. And then it's Thundurus with 2 turns of Dynamax against my opponent's Thundurus and Calyrex. Electro Web's really interesting, though. Wow. Did not expect that at all. But now we should outspeed with our Zacian, right? So we can just go for Airstream into Thundurus and Behemoth Blade into Calyrex. That feels okay to me. Yeah, they end up forfeiting. Okay, nice. AV Thundurus was really, really good in this one. But so was Umbreon. Like, Umbreon was actually so essential in the early game, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people like to use it, right? It is very good into many physical attackers in the format, like Thundurus, like Landorus, and also valuable against the Calyrexes that you might see. Either both forms of Calyrexes, Umbreon actually matches up decently well into. So, yeah, Umbreon definitely carried us in the early game. Really nice play by my opponent on the opening turns, though, to make that double switch. I thought that was really smart, and if I just went Expanding Force Foul Play turn 1, like that's actually probably just a game-winning play, because we get a knockout and a half, essentially. Like, that double up should knock out either Landorus or Regieleki, and then whatever one I didn't double up into should take like 50%. So, I could have played a little bit more aggressively on turn 1 of that one, but I did not. Next matchup of the day. Isn't this the same player from yesterday? I think this is who we played against in game 1 yesterday, and that one I just went Blastoise Indeedee. I don't think I'll get away with it this time around, though. If you want to counter Blastoise Indeedee and you're expecting it, what do you lead? Landorus, Thundurus. Because then you could max Airstream. Like, yeah, even still, it's not that great. Lapras, Zacian? This is definitely the same player, I'm pretty sure. They were also, like, top 50 on the ladder yesterday, too. Oh, what's their counterplay to... They should know I'm leading Blastoise Indeedee. They went Thundurus Lapras yesterday. And their Thundurus just Thunderbolted, I think. I don't know if they actually even have that great answers into Blastoise Indeedee, so I kind of want to just go for it again. Zacian in the back. Yesterday I brought Thundurus as my last one. It didn't come out. I think it's still the right choice here. It's just Landorus is very useful against their Zacian. I'm actually going to go with Landorus this time around. I don't know if that's the right decision. Yesterday I was saying that Thundurus was the right decision, but yesterday they also had 2 Zacians on the field with their Zacian and their Ditto. So this is interesting. We get a rematch from yesterday. I feel like our team has a decent matchup here. That's going to be Lapras and Thundurus again. Okay, I mean, are we just going to repeat the first turn? I never thought about this, but positioning here is actually a really big deal because this means even if you swap Thundurus out into Ditto, you copy the NDD. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Shell Smash and follow me again. Okay. Same strat as yesterday. Play around Lapras. And yesterday they what? They went Thunderbolt and Resonance yesterday, and our NDD actually survived, which allowed me to go follow me Ice Beam into Thundurus turn 2. Thus conserving an extra turn of max. That was kind of nice. I don't know if Landorus was the right call. Maybe I should have just gone. I didn't even reveal the Thundurus in the back yesterday. Kind of fun to get a rematch here, though. We don't get, like, I haven't really done best of 3s in Series 8. And right now it kind of feels like a pseudo best of 3. It's always fun to see that, right? Because I can talk about adjustments and how I'd play things differently. So I expect maybe my opponent Geysers this time around rather than go for Resonance on turn 1 to get the knockout onto NDD. That's an adjustment you can make. But this NDD is very specially invested, as you can see. I don't even know if a Geyser would one-shot us. If we survive, that'd be really nice. Okay. Do they play it any differently? Nope, they just go for Resonance again. Okay, so kind of a repeat of how the game started yesterday. And yep, we survive. Okay, nice. Here's the interesting thing. Do you think Thundurus this time around switches out into Zacian to take an Ice Beam? I don't... Even if it does, I shouldn't be that worried, right? Like, I think I'm content to just Ice Beam and follow me once again. Okay, that works for me. I mean, this is literally how the first 2 turns... Like, my opponent hasn't adjusted from the last time this happened, and it worked out better for us last time, so... Unless it was actually, like, a damage roll on Thundurus last time and it survives here. That would actually be really bad. But... Oh, man, it actually did. Oh. That's rough. Wondering what the roll is there. I guess I could have played it safe and not had to deal with any rolls by just maxing Blastoise this turn. They just Resonance, though, so we'll survive, but it's obviously not what you really want to see here. Because maxing would have just taken a lot less damage there. I mean, I could just go into Zacian now, so it's not the end of the world. I think I still max Blastoise, honestly. Because we'll survive an attack from the Lapras, right? So I can max, go for Cannonade now. It's just, this is just a waste, right? If I should have just maxed last turn, I think, and just gone for Hailstorm. It could have been worse, right? We didn't at least faint, but still not ideal. Yeah, I think I'm down here to just Cannonade into Thundurus and go for a Blade into the Lapras. Because I don't think they have Max Lightning. Otherwise, you would have gone for it last turn, right? And the Cannonade just helps in the late game for that residual damage. I am happy we actually have Landorus out right now, though, in the back, because it will help against the Zacian and the potential Ditto, but... Man, that Thundurus Hung Gauntlet will look like 1 or 2 HP, so... I guess that's why my opponent was content playing the same way. Maybe I got a high damage roll yesterday. Like, that definitely could be an explanation. And they're like, oh, I'm really bulky on Thundurus, I should survive. So, things could have been a lot better if I just maxed Blastoise last turn. I think in retrospect, that was just the objectively better play to not take nearly as much damage and ensure that we get 3 max turns off with Blastoise. Because now we probably will only get 2 turns off with it, and that's not amazing for us. Still feel okay about our position, though, all things considered. It could be worse. Unless they secretly had Max Lightning this entire time. But they didn't go for it yesterday. They didn't go for it last turn, and see no reason for my opponent not to have gone for it last turn if they actually had it, so... Okay, big Behemoth Blade comes out here. That's really important, honestly, because it just puts this in KO range from a Sacred Sword after Max is over. And I really need that. Okay, huge damage. They go for Geyser. Well, this will do more than Resonance. But it's not enough to KO. And, nicely for us, they just set up the Rain. So now I do even more damage through a potential Protect. So I think here we can just Sacred Sword Cannonade into whatever's coming in. There is a question as to whether or not we'd want to... They actually bring out Ditto first, okay. I feel like Sacred Switch and KO Lapras with that attack boost. So I think we're just safe to go for Cannonade into Zacian, Sacred Sword into Lapras. That feels okay to me, yeah. The only fear here is if Lapras survives, because we actually could make an argument to max guard here, but we know they have Ditto and they can copy our substitute. So I think it's better to just Cannonade here. And Sacred Sword. If Lapras actually hangs on here, that will be really impressive. But they actually don't protect. I mean, I think so many Dittos are going to run Choice Scarf anyway, so they're basically playing towards their late game Zacian, I feel like, at this point. Oh, it's Focus Sash. That makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. This doesn't KO us, does it? If they targeted Zacian? What? That one shot? What is the... Wow. Hold on, I need to do that calc. I could have double protected, but I didn't expect Sash. How did that one hit KO? This is bulky Zacian too. The thing is, they probably have Zacian as in the back, right? Like, Landorus could still pull this off. I think we need a crit EQ on Lapras though, right? I just really didn't think they would one-shot us there with their Zacian. Because we're max HP too. What were the rolls in this game? That's wild. Behemoth Blade. Max attack. +1. How did that one hit KO? He didn't crit us. Wait, I'm like actually really confused right now. Our only win con is we can't go for Rock Slide Flinch because Zacian outspeeds us, so we need an Earthquake crit Lapras. I think that's it. Yeah, how did Zacian one-shot our Zacian? Because it wasn't a crit, right? Oh! I didn't realize it. Do you get to +2 attack because you copy? Oh, I didn't even think about that at all. Wow, we actually get the crit, but on the wrong Pokemon. I didn't... It was always to protect Zacian in that play. I tossed this. I didn't think about the endgame hard enough. We always protect Zacian there. I just made that play because I was like, oh, this is super safe. But the correct play is to always protect Zacian. Well, not necessarily, because then if they protect the Ditto, they could win the following turn. So, a lot went wrong in this game, right? The Thundurus ended up surviving with the sliver of HP. And we lost the speed tie between the Dittos as well. But yeah, I forgot. You copy the attack boost and you get the Intrepid Sword, right? So then you're at +2 attack rather than +1. Oh, man. That is so interesting. And I wasn't expecting Focus Sash either. It's a shame because if we won the speed tie between the Dittos, we win the game there anyway. But I made some small mistakes, right? Like in this game, we got a little bit unlucky with the Thunder surviving and losing a speed tie, but we could have played around that luck, right? I could have just maxed Blastoise the first turn I set it up. And then I also could have protected Zacian. Now, the thing with protecting Zacian there is not necessarily the correct play, because if their Zacian protects, we get Freeze Dried, then it's my Lando... No, but then my Lando does intimidate their Zacian. But then I think it still comes down to a speed tie in that position. Anyway, that was a fascinating game, but I can't help but think I had the advantage, but just didn't execute as well as my opponent did. I mean, after playing him yesterday, I was like, yeah, Ice Beam KO'd yesterday. I should be fine here. But I think it was better to just max Blastoise immediately there. I could have protected Zacian, but is that... I gotta think if it's like it wins us the game 100% of the time, because I'm not sure it does. Another Lapras team. They have a Lecky here, so to be a little bit careful about that. I like Umbreon a lot here. I mean, against this, you should typically lead a Lecky. Alecki Lapras, I think, is a really solid lead from my opponent's end. So let's say we wanted to counter that. What's my counterplay? Thundurus Zacian is actually very solid there. I think Game Blastoise is actually kind of compelling. Lando's good here into there. Maybe we don't bring our support today in this one and just go with full offense in this one. Okay, I'm down to try this out. Oh, I totally forgot about... Well, one, I just haven't seen Sash Ditto. I mean, I haven't seen Ditto in general. So, like, yesterday we just destroyed it. Did it have Sash yesterday? I thought we one-shot it yesterday. I think they might have protected first. So I didn't even think about Sash, and I also didn't think about the fact that copies our attack boost and then gets another attack boost on top. Because I was like, oh yeah, even if you knock out Zacian, like, we'll KO Lapras, right? But, no. They go with Lapras and Porygon. Okay, I'm very content with this, because I think turn 1 we can just max Knuckle, Sacred Sword, and a Porygon. We don't want Trick Room to go up here. Yep, I like this play a lot. Do they have a switch into this? Not really. P2 Lapras, Alecki, Zacian. Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, truth be told, I really wanted to get a speed boost here because I think, like, if we get a speed boost with both of these Pokemon, we should just outspeed everything and, like, cleanly knock everything out, right? But I think it's okay. Here's the fear, right? If I go with this play, my opponent resonances into Thundurus, then you bring out your Zacian, and then you outspeed. So I think my opponent had a pretty safe 2-turn plan here, which is Trick Room, Resonance into Thundurus turn 1. Well, it's not actually that safe if I doubled up onto your Lapras. That would have been a risky play, but it could have been really nice here. Wait, oh, I also... Oh! I see. Huh. Do you guys think we get one shot here by Porygon? I don't think so. I also just realized, wait, this is literally just the team we featured, right? And they just go for a Hailstorm. We have AV. I don't think this KOs us, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, not even close, yeah. Okay. Wait, is this just the IC winning team? I think it might be. Oh, I'm so disappointed at myself for that last one, but that's a good Ditto mechanic to know when it copies Zacian. That's actually really, really cool. I also could have just played a little bit safer. This is that team, right? Yeah, I think so. I didn't even process that, which is funny. But now we're at +2 attack. We just get a speed boost, and we should be schmovin'. So let's just Airstream into Lapras. Sacred Sword into Porygon. Or Behemoth Blade, actually. Well, Blade is better here, right? Yeah. Because it covers for a switch. I think we should win the game now as long as we don't get frozen by a Freeze Dry. I think that's the only way my opponent can win now, because I get so much speed controlled this way. Good max guard. Doesn't matter too much, though, because we get the speed boost. Double up on a Lapras would have, like, surely... Like, I could have gone Airstream sub, but in this position, there's no need to risk anything. There's really no need. The reason I like Airstreaming there is because we really don't want to knock my opponent's Pokemon out and then give them a free switch in without getting a speed boost beforehand. They freeze right Thundurus. Okay, no freeze. Good. I don't know. The question is whether or not I actually had a way to play around the freeze as well while also covering for all of Porygon's offensive options. I'm not sure the answer to that is actually yes. I'm down to go for another speed boost just to ensure we outspeed Regieleki and go for a Blade. Yeah, this should just be game over, I think. As long as I don't misplay. And I think it's important to get that second speed boost to ensure we outspeed a potential Regieleki in the back. But the Hail is up right now, so that's doing chip damage away. Ah, that last game was wild, though. I just, like, you know, it's the exact same Pokemon from yesterday. Same first 2 turns, but played out very differently. I want to rewatch the tape. Like, I don't remember if they had Sash on Ditto yesterday. I just, like, didn't think about that as an item option. You know what? Let's look at Picolytics right now and see what people are using. Because Sash Ditto actually makes so much sense. 71% Scarf, 13% Sash. This is on Showdown for players with 1760 or above. 9% Quick Claw. I mean, it's not a very common Pokemon, obviously, at all. But I should have considered the potential of Sash. So then that question becomes, if I just max guarded there, or sorry, if I protected Zacian and Resonance that turn, would I have won the game? Or sorry, if they protect their Zacian and I protect my Zacian, I still get the Cannonade off. But then I think it basically still is a speed tie. If they win the speed tie, well, I do intimidate their Zacian, right? And then with that intimidate, you can't knock me out. But then the problem is I don't intimidate the Zacian in the back. So yeah, it's funny that we even got that crit in that turn too. It just was the crit on the wrong one. Yep, so there's Zacian coming in. And Urshifu, yep. Okay, where to go from here? Man, sick Ditto set though. Very, very sick. Sucker Punch is to be expected. Human Blade will just KO this at +2. No need to risk anything here, right? Well, how can my opponent come back into this? If I, like, you never want to switch carelessly. And ask yourself, like, I could throw, if Zacian protects, they close combat crit Zacian as I switch Thundurus out. So, just let them Sucker Punch us here. Superpower and Blade here is our best play by far, I think. Even though we have the lead, yeah, like, one way we could actually throw this game is if we switch Thundurus out into the Landorus, they create close combat onto our Zacian and just pick up a KO for free while protecting their Zacian. Now, granted, they didn't protect their Zacian in the end, but this is the thing, right? Thundurus and Landorus are such nice partners because he can give the Zacian speed boosts, and this Zacian is bulkier, but with those speed boosts, yeah, we outspeed and KO. Okay. Yep. In the end, they didn't make that play I was talking about, but, you know, when your opponents are from behind, they have to, like, look for really wild plays to try to come back into it, and you just don't want to give them those opportunities. So, we can bring out Blastoise now and end up this game. Man, my mind's still blown from that last one. Yeah, this one was funny just because, yeah, this was the team that won the IC. But Lapras Porygon was not very good against what we brought here. So I think, like, Gieleki could have been scarier? You know, Gieleki could Dynamax. I'm not sure. I feel like we just had a decent matchup on paper here. And I think my opponent was better off maxing Lapras turn 1 just to get screens up in this one. But I guess the tricky thing about that team is if you don't max Porygon, it actually really doesn't do anything. Yeah, this is the IC winning team. Ally Switch could have been interesting. I don't know. I think we honestly just had a really good matchup on paper in that last one, so fortunate for us. That being, as I always say, even if you have a good matchup, you have to play properly and make sure you execute it right. But they, after turn 1 of that game, I think it was really difficult for my opponent to do anything. And sometimes that's just how things are. Like, your opponent's team will have a significantly, you know, better matchup against you. Really cool team with Galarian Articuno. Okay. Unfortunately, not a great day for Blastoise here, but it is what it is. Kyogre, I actually think, is one of the hardest restricted Pokemon to play against with this team. I was playing some practice games before getting into today, and I got wrecked by a couple Kyogres. Because part of the problem is, like, like, the only thing that resists water is Blastoise, and Blastoise isn't really a water resist unless you max it. Man, there's a lot of scary stuff here. Starting with Dragapult and Regieleki, too. It'd be so sweet if I can actually get a Shell Smash off here, but the odds of that feel so unlikely to me. So I think we play towards Thundurus. It's just a very consistent max option and should be the primary option when we're up against a Kyogre. Umbreon's pretty interesting here. Zacian's a must-bring. Randall's not that great. I like Thundurus, Umbreon, Zacian, and then maybe Blastoise is the 4th. Entity is helpful for a helping hand and just for redirection support. Do have SD on this. I'm gonna go with Blastoise here. It's our last game with this team, so might as well give it another feature. Let's see. Yeah, my head is still mind blown by that second game. Ah, that was so cool. That was so cool. Sash Ditto copying Zacian. I should have double checked the attack stat. Like that turn was a turn in which I just didn't consider the worst case outcome because I didn't realize the worst case outcome existed in their Zacian just KOing us, one-shotting us specifically. Alright, this is not bad for us. Lucky plus Articuno. So, it's likely you have Kyogre in the back. I could very easily just max. A little bit nervous about weakness policy on Articuno here. Scares me a little bit. I got Zacian in the back. Also have to respect Trick Room on this Articuno. That's the other thing. Meh. I don't know. Articuno's in such a bad spot in front of us here, though, that I honestly want to double up onto the Regieleki instead. If they actually end up Trick Rooming, given this lead matchup, that's amazing. Kudos to them. But yeah, they switch out. Okay, good. Yep. Okay. If we get the speed boost and we knock out Regieleki as well, we're in an amazing spot turn 1. But regardless, like, the only way you can get out of this is, well, there's two options. One was maxing Regieleki, but they didn't go for that. The second is just protecting turn 1. It'd be a really good protect, honestly. Interesting that Kyogre was the switch in, though, because if I just max Lightning Articuno and you take it with Kyogre, that's also really brutal. I also don't know if Max Airstream Foul Play actually KOs the Regieleki here, but we'll see. So let's see if Regieleki protects. It is, base 100 attack. Okay, they just offer Thunder. That's fine with me. It's a lot of damage, but in the end, like, I can't. I'll take it. I'll take it if Foul Play KOs. If not, that's actually really... Well, we should survive another Thunder anyway, so I think it's probably fine, but... Let's see. Alright, we get Foul Play off. Oof. Does not pick up the knockout. That's not what you want to see here. Okay. That's a little tough. You know what's scary? I don't want to max Lightning, set up Terrain, so then Regieleki one-shots us afterwards. I have Zacian Blastoise in the back. That's good. I miss, like, typically, players are running max speed Regieleki. Gosh, I need to stop sweating and clicking that. We hit 170. So, if we hit 170, we could actually outspeed Kyogre before it attacks, assuming it's not Scarfed. Which means I can Airstream Snarl here. Okay, I'm down for that. Is that a switch back out into Articuno? Oh, they're going to Ferrothron. Okay. That works for me. They're not max speed Regieleki. They might be modest given how much damage they did. But I'll gladly take a max Airstream into a Ferrothorn like that. Because that's a lot of damage. We should survive a Thunder here as well. Yep. Okay, good. And Snarl doesn't miss, so that's a Regieleki out of the way now and about 50% onto the Ferrothorn. So that's solid. Sacred Sword's going to be really important against Ferrothorn in the late game. Zacian should destroy the Articuno, so it's all about my opponent's Kyogre right now. Which admittedly is a problem. The cool thing, though, is by boosting Umbreon speed, now I actually should outspeed Articuno and Kyogre with it, which means I can just yawn into whatever I think is going to max, right? So Articuno comes out. That's not surprising. Tailwind is what I'm nervous about now, I think. I don't really care about Ferrothorn because my Zacian should deal with that very easily. So I think all we want to do here is avoid a Tailwind. So I'm down to just go for a Max Lightning onto Articuno. Ooh, we don't want a Lightning actually because that would set up Terrain. But I can just Snarl Kyogre anyway, so okay. I'm down to just Lightning into Articuno here and Foul Play into it. And Ferrothorn protects. Wow. Alright, it's even better for us. Makes our job a little bit easier. Because it means Articuno's not protecting. Okay, so Max Lightning. It is Sash Articuno. Very cool. Tailwind would be pretty interesting here. Well, first of all, let's see if Umbreon outspeeds. I think we should, right? I'm pretty sure we do. Nice. Brilliant. Yeah, the thing is, I don't care about Ferrothorn in this game because Zacian with Sacred Sword just ignores any Iron Defense boost strategies that you want to go for. So, that is actually not too much of a major concern. The only downside, like I mentioned, is I did just set up that electric terrain, which means like if I went for Airstream Foul Play instead, that probably would have been a KO anyway. Which means I now can't go for Yawn, which is definitely a slight downside, but I can Snarl, which is good. And I have Wow Charge / Superpower in this position. We have Blastoise and Zacian in the back. Obviously, Zacian's very helpful. I think here I'm just going to Superpower and Foul Play into Ferrothorn. Actually, it might be better to Snarl. I just don't know if Superpower Snarl KOs here. That's my one fear, but... Okay, this is, like, I think a good example of how, like, it's... What am I trying to say here? It's a good example of how sometimes you have to play to try to come back in the game. My opponent keeps going for Protects on one Pokemon and attacking with the other, but the reason that doesn't work out super well is because, you know, I already have the lead. Okay, I don't think Snarl KOs here, unfortunately, so I could have gone for Foul Play instead. That would have just won us the game instantly. But I still feel very good about our position right now. They are going to Body Press, though, okay. Like, this is still actually winnable from my opponent's end, so... Not picking up the KO there was a little unfortunate, but I also didn't want to Superpower Foul Play into Ferrothorn and have it double protect as Kyogre crits Origin Pulse onto Umbreon, or Water Spouts. Like, that would be really bad. So, like, that would actually be a way to throw the game. Let's just bring out Blastoise now. Yeah. And I think the combination of Zacian plus Umbreon should close up this game for us. I'm just going to go for a Scald into the Ferrothorn slot. And a Snarl. Yeah, it seems okay. No, my opponent actually could come back right now. Because the double up didn't KO Ferrothorn. I was kind of expecting Superpower Snarl to pick up the KO, but I guess I shouldn't expect much damage from Snarl, right? The max on Kyogre is interesting, but it makes sense. You obviously don't want to take that much damage. I'm curious how fast it is relative to us here. Okay, so no Protect from that Ferrothorn. Hangs on with Snarl with what looks like 1 HP, but we do get a crucial special attack drop onto the Kyogre. They are going to max Lightning, okay. He is able to pick up the KO. Presumably Body Press here again. Yeah. Okay. This is definitely getting a little scarier, I have to say, but the rain stops, which is critical, so I can Moonlight with the Umbreon and substitute with Zacian. I can also just Snarl Behemoth Blade into Kyogre, I suppose. Maybe it was smarter to bring out Zacian first, then. All I needed to do was KO this Ferrothorn, though, so the Snarls earlier were kind of bad. I should have just been launching Foul Plays into it. But like I said, if I doubled up in a Ferrothorn, if Ferrothorn gets a double Protect off, that actually could be disastrous for us. I think here I'm just going to sub. Actually, your Kyogre's not KOing us anyway. But the thing is, if I were playing around a crit, now they can just crit us and KO us anyway, right? So it's like, why was I playing so meticulously around this crit? I think I'd rather actually just Sacred Sword Ferrothorn here and Moonlight. Okay, yeah, Ferrothorn doesn't protect. So now it's a question of, do you one-shot Zacian at -1 special attack without Rain being up? I wouldn't think so, but Kyogre is pretty strong, so I'm not 100% sure of that. Either way, props to my opponent. Like, I was saying how, like, you know, typically it's hard to come back if you're protecting one Pokemon and then the other is attacking, because then your opponent can just, like, you know, double up on something. But I never made that double up play. Here's Max Geyser. Okay, and they target Umbreon, so that should be game over. Yeah. I figured there they might have read into Zacian subbing or protecting, and because the rain was not up, we're max HP Zacian and they had that special attack drop on Kyogre, figured we were fine anyway, but I probably should have just doubled up onto Ferrothorn after we knew it protected. I don't know, though. If they get a double Protect off there, and I lose both Thundurus and Umbreon, it's Blastoise Zacian. Can I win the game? There's actually a very good chance they could come back there, so... There, I didn't mind playing around the opportunity of them potentially going for a double Protect. Last turn of Electric Terrain. I'm down to substitute here and go for a Snarl. Yeah. You should target Umbreon down here, but it's interesting because, like, there's just two big threats on the field right now, right? But, yeah, honestly, props to my opponent. They fought back really hard in this one. I was expecting Superpower and Snarl to KO Ferrothron, and yeah, nice, they target Zacian here. It's even better for us. This is why Substitute's such a good attack on Zacian. You just outspeed almost everything in the format. You can waste max turns like this. And Umbreon getting the speed boost in this one was actually really nice for us as well. Terrain disappears, so now we have a guaranteed win. We just go sub Yawn. Protect, Sacred Sword. Yep. Substitute here. Actually, there's no reason to not protect here, right? We protect first. And Yawn. Yeah, and then sub. I guess it's the same difference in the end of the day. I'm also curious if Kyogre can actually knock out Umbreon from this range with an Origin Pulse at -2. If you have Mystic Water, maybe. But this is always the right play because you don't want them to potentially crit Origin Pulse onto Zacian. So just go for your guaranteed wins in these endgames. Oh, nice. Umbreon takes that. Today has been a great Umbreon day, honestly. So you can see why this is one of the more popular non-restricted picks in the format right now. Well, I guess it's not that popular, but I'm just going to sub and Snarl here. Actually, Moonlight's probably better just because it means you have to crit to KO. And if you don't crit, then it's 2v1. Yeah. But the Ferrothorn in the end was a big nuisance, and this was a lot closer than I had anticipated after the early lead that we had started off with. So props to my opponent, because I thought they played this endgame really, really well. Yep, and Umbreon survives. Nice. Good thing here is that Kyogre just wasn't able to do that much damage to us. Umbreon can heal it off, and then Zacian has that substitute as well, so the combination of that is pretty valuable for us here. Unless it was, like, Lumberry Kyogre this whole time, but yeah, it's not. So now we can finally start attacking. We can Sacred Sword, we can Foul Play. But the reason why this is, like, I don't feel great about it was because, you know, we could have lost if, the turn Ferrothorn didn't Protect. Protect was definitely an option there. That's kind of scary. So it's like I played through all of that. I had this monumentous lead. And yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, I had this really, really big lead. And then in the end, I didn't actually like capitalize too much off of it. I was playing around. I mean, we won, obviously. But I felt like that game should have been a wrap completely. Like, there shouldn't have been any opportunity for my opponent to come back into it. But the main things you want to consider in endgames are like double protects, crits. Like, if those happen, what happens to you? So, yeah. Either way, that's going to be it for this one. So, thanks so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll catch you all next time. All right. Peace.